Yeah, so how many of you have been to career services? Oh, a few of you, perfect. Where are we located?
Memory Mall next to psychology.
Memory Mall next to psychology, awesome. So we're nestled in between the psychology building and the alumni services building. So just a little bit about what we do at career services for those who haven't been, or maybe you've been but you're not aware of all the things that we do. And I did provide the yellow bookmark for you as well, so you guys can put those in your textbooks as a constant reminder of how we can help you with your professional development. We're kind of oriented in these 3E models here, phases, and a lot of what we do is actually exploration. So most of you probably think career services is a place you go to get a job, right? Yeah? Be honest. That's what you thought, right? But we do a lot more than that. So we help you explore what you could do with your major, coming up with kind of a plan of action of how you can best make use of your time here at UCF so that by the time you do graduate, you've built up a nice competitive resume with experience. So we help you explore your career options, major possibilities, find out ways to gain experience relevant to your major or to your interests, and that can be through internships, through job shadowing, volunteerism, clubs, campus involvement, and then employability, which is today's topic. How do you become an employable knight, right? And that's largely communicating your skills, your strengths, your experiences. And a big part of communicating your experiences is the resume, right? Because that's going to be your main tool to market yourself and to sell yourself to potential employers. So that's why we have this workshop here for you today, so you can begin to enhance your resume if you have one. Then also your cover letter, introducing yourself. We're going to be talking about that too. But just FYI, other things that we can offer you at Career Services, mock interviews. We'll be doing a workshop next week on interviewing skills. But you can schedule an appointment for a practice interview, and we can pretend as if. Just send us a job description of something that you'd want to apply for. We can do job search strategy appointments, career planning appointments, also graduate school. How many of you are going to grad school or want to go to grad school? We can help you explore graduate programs, prepare for that application process as well, and interview for grad school too. So whatever comes after your bachelor's program, we're here to help you prepare for that, whatever that may be, and it's going to be different for everybody. Today's topic, resumes and cover letters, just kind of an overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go heavy into the resume, section by section, what to include, what not to include, what general formats to use to help you stand out, to distinguish yourself from other resumes in the pile. We'll talk about cover letters. What are they? How do you use them? How can you successfully craft one to introduce yourself to an employer? And we'll talk some of the other things included in these topics is PDFs. How do you send your resume cover letter? How do you upload them online? And other related things to the issues and challenges that come up with these things. So we're going to start off with the format and general appearance of resumes. So you all have a resume sample in front of you. Take a few seconds to look through that and tell me what stands out. What are the first things that you notice on that sample resume? Raise your hand or call them out. Yep.
She put her LinkedIn on.
LinkedIn, yeah, good eye. Mm-hmm. What else do we notice? Nothing? Is it a boring old resume? Yeah.
I mean, there's like the dates and times, everything you've worked at on the same, or like roughly the same spot throughout the resume.
Roughly the same spot. So certain pieces of information are organized in the same way. All right, so dates and cities and states are pulled out to the right side. Yeah. Anything else that stands out? What do your eyeballs see first so it pops off the page? Yeah. Name, yeah, good. And why is the name the first thing that you notice?
Because you want to talk about it.
Yeah, but what is it that the resume is doing to make that happen?
It's right in the center, it's bold, it's
Yes.
right at the top, first thing you read.
It's the first thing you read, it's bold, it's centered, it's the largest thing on the resume. Yeah. And so that's something that we notice, right? Your eyeballs are probably noticing the bolded things first, right? as you scan through. So you'll notice job titles or employer names or the degree or the school name because of bolding and italicization. Spacing, right? There's things that are aligned on the right side. You've noticed those are pulled out. So the spacing helps to pull that out separately and make you notice it too. We saw the LinkedIn URL, so that's right on the top. So that shows employers that they can connect with you or read more about you online. Did anybody notice numbers? Like dollar amounts or GPA? Did that stand out, kind of? Okay.
Well, not really.
Not really?
It's there, but it's not folded or anything.
Okay. But numbers still tend to stick out a little bit more so than general content. So that's something that we're going to talk about too, is quantifying your information in your bullets for jobs or for education.
I just like how much information they're able to put on one page.
How much information you're able to put on one page, yeah. So you can pack a lot of information onto a one-page resume.
The fact that they didn't go to a second page.
If they didn't go to a second page.
Because then it's like, oh, I have to turn to the second page.
Right, so the cold hard truth of resume writing is the employers who read them,
They don't want it.
they only spend maximum 30 seconds. And actually we went to a workshop last week, a training seminar on resumes, a virtual webinar I mean, and they said the average time actually is 6.25 seconds. That's scary, right? So you have 6 seconds to be noticed, to stand out. And so that's why we want it, when we pack a lot of information onto a one-page resume, we have to be smart about how it's formatted. So we have to use bolding, italicization, spacing consistently and appropriately so that you can survive that 6-second scan. And an employer is, when they see a 2-page resume, in that 6 seconds, they're not going to look at page 2. So that's why we want to have everything we need on that first page. So general format, as we've talked about, generally 1 page. My rule of thumb, 1 page for every 10 years of experience. Who here's got more than 10 years of experience? I see you, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna keep it all on 1 page. And if you have a 2-page resume and you really want to defend that, come see me or one of our career advisors. Let's see if you can justify that. Chances are we'll show you ways to get it down. The only exception to that would be applying to academic programs where they generally want more rather than less. So a 2-page CV may be more acceptable. But at this stage, most of you in here are going to keep to that 1 page. 1-inch margins on all sides, generally. Start off with that, but you could go down to 1/2 inch. So you could do narrow margins on your resume, and that will help to spread information out left and right and up and down. Whatever margin size you choose, just make it equal on all 4 sides so we don't get a lopsided look to our resume. Standard fonts. Something simple, classic, Times, Arial, Courier, right? Nothing scripted or handwriting style. I saw a resume a few months ago that was in a cursive handwriting style, and they put everything in italics. It was the biggest eyesore. I got dizzy just looking at that resume. So imagine what an employer is going to do when they see that, right? So just something simple, classic. You don't want to stand out for the wrong reasons. Okay. Size. So name is going to be the largest, but everything else is going to be between 10 and 12. All the same size, so you don't need to do different sizes for different things. Pick one and stick with it. Start with 12. And if you're falling onto a second page, you can reduce to 11, you can reduce to 10 to bring it back down. Paper is optional, so if you're going to maybe a networking event or a conference or even an interview and you want to present a more professional style resume, that is an option to purchase resume paper, which is like a linen texture style paper. It's a little bit thicker, has a feel to it. It feels heavier in their hands. So it tends to give off this more professional vibe to your resume. So that's definitely something to consider, but it's not required. If you do resume paper though, we're gonna stick with the classic colors, white, beige, light gray. So no legally blonde, pink scented resumes here, okay? Keep it traditional, and we wanna stand out for the content and the accomplishments, not for visual things that distract. So your heading is going to be on the top of the page. And by the way, I forgot to mention, if you do have your resume, you're welcome to bring it out and write notes on it and do kind of like a self-critique as we talk so that you can notate things that you want to fix. So just FYI. Starting at the top, your name, a phone number, an address, an email address, and optional would be a URL, like our LinkedIn profile if we have one. 9 out of 10 employers use LinkedIn, so that's a great place to start to build an online professional presence. But another URL could be your e-portfolio if you have one, or maybe you designed a website that has visuals of your work, or showcases your skills and abilities to build a website, whatever that may be. That is optional. If you have it, include it. Name should be the largest thing on your resume and bold. This is your document, so we need to know that it's you. We want to know who you are. You could include a nickname, so you could do your nickname, last name, or your full name, and then in quotes your nickname. If you wanted to use a different name, that's fine too, as long as it's accurate to who you are. Address, either a local or a permanent address. You could do both. We'll show you some samples on that. Minimum, at least a city and state. Okay, so you may not need to have the full street address, but we do want to show geographical familiarity. Email address, professional, please. So no partyhard2020@gmail.com or something that shows just your name dot last name or first initial last name. We want to stay away from letters, numbers, silly nicknames, handles, things you created in middle school. All right, so use your Knight's email for now. That's great. That shows, that connects you to UCF. Unless it's your NID or something that's not your name, you may want to consider using a more professional email address for that. And if you're active in your job search, be sure to check your email on a regular basis. Okay? And telephone, one phone number. Yes, you need to put a phone number on there. Okay? And make sure you check your voicemail greeting. At least record your name so that the employer knows when they call that they've got the right person that they're trying to get a hold of. All right, so no recorded lyrics or ringback tones or songs or poems. At least record your name and just keep it professional and easy to understand. All right, so these are some examples of what that could look like, depending on how much space that you need. The first two samples here, my laser's not gonna work. These guys here help to spread information out up and down. They're using multiple lines. The last example helps to spread information out left to right. So if you need more space for your experiences, your education, you might want to use the last example. Either way, there's not an exact perfect way to do a heading. Everybody's going to have a different format depending on your style or the content you need to include. The middle example is good if you plan on maybe applying to things in another place, so maybe back home, or you're planning on spending the summer with grandma in Texas, right? And you want to get an internship while you're there. Whatever it may be, that can be helpful to show geographical familiarity. So you have a permanent place and then a current place or a local place to wherever you're applying to. But it's not required. Whatever works for you. Any questions on the heading? That help? Okay. Objective, oh yeah.
Actually, if it's like let's say if it's one of the dormitories, would you put like the address of the physical location, or would you put the address of like the mailing address?
The mailing location. So for your dorm address, if you're living on campus, you could just do your mailing address. Yeah, so you don't need to put the actual dorm and dorm number and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay? All right. Objective statement. Jury's out. Half of our employers say, yes, we love it, keep it. The other half say, nah, we don't need it, don't put it on there. I'm team objective. I think if it's well written and it's to the point and answers at least 3 questions, it's a great place to give your resume direction. So now you know what content to include to help support that objective statement. And it tells the employer that you want that job, doing that thing. Yep.
If we have a resume that's got a lot of information on it, would an objective statement be one of those first things that we might take out?
It could be.
Especially for including a cover letter?
It could be, so what you need to do then is make sure whatever experience you're talking about is relevant to what you're applying to. Because if there's any type of gap where maybe you've had a lot of experience in this job, but you're applying to something totally different, an objective statement can help to answer that gap. But if you're applying to something and you've already got internships or project experience related to that, then an objective statement may be something to take out. An objective statement that is no bueno is applying to a position with a reputable company in the Orlando area with a challenging, exciting work environment. Nothing too vague, we want to be specific. So in one statement, an objective statement will answer what type of job are you applying to, in what industry or field or functional area, and what skills are you going to offer. So 2 or 3 strengths that you can offer to that employer. So we want to tailor it to the job or to the thing or the scholarship or whatever it is you're applying to. So keep it focused. All right? So these are some example objective statements. Resumes are not written in first person, so no I statements. We start off with the strong action verb. So even with an objective, we're starting off with to obtain or seeking or to be considered for, right? We want that verbiage there. To obtain a management training internship in a community service agency leading to a career in public. Seeking part-time legal assistant position with a law firm focusing on environmental issues. All right? So something specific. If you were to just say seeking a part-time legal assistant position in Orlando, in what type of law firm? There's so many different types of law. There's so many different concentrations or specialties. Yep.
Would it be good to include like a very specific name on the objective? So like, for example, seeking
You can.
an engineering position at Siemens, for example. Would
Sure.
that be good?
So if you're applying to a specific job, a specific company, then yes, you can put seeking job title at company name, utilizing skills in this. All right? Absolutely. So this would be something a little bit more generalized. It's still specific, but it's not to a job or company, which is great for going to career fairs or posting online to LinkedIn or to Handshake, where any employer can find you. But yeah, if you're gonna apply to a job and you wanna show that employer that you wanna be there with them doing that thing, you can take those out and put the job title itself. Questions? Okay. So hopefully I've brought you to my team objective. But if not, we can talk about why or why not you may need that in a one-on-one advising appointment or through critiques. Or really think about how this objective can help frame or give your resume direction. Or if the rest of your resume already has that sense communicated, or you may not need it. Is that a screen saver?
It'll go, wait a second.
Okay. All right, so next is education. We do recommend education to be towards the top of your resume. Why would that be?
Because that's the most experience.
It's your most current thing that you're doing, right? Chances are you're selling yourself to an employer on the degree that you're getting, right? That's your most marketable thing. So most likely that's going to go towards the top. Everything, right? So the full name of the school, the full degree name, Bachelor of Science or Arts in, no BS or BA or BSBA, okay? Your anticipated graduation date. So what semester, what month and year do you plan on graduating? If you're not sure, if you think that might change, then just use start date to present. Or give it your best updated guess on what that graduation, then you can change it. Your resume is not written in stone. It's a living, breathing document. You can always make edits as you go. GPA, 3.0 or higher, put it on. You guys are honors students, yes? You guys have a good GPA then. Put it on your resume, okay? You could break it up into program GPA or UCF GPA if you wanted to show maybe a higher GPA in your major related courses. So that depends, that's a one-on-one type of conversation. Other things to include would be minor or certifications, licensure. So how many of you in high school maybe got certified in Microsoft Office, Excel, Word, PowerPoint. Just two of you. Oh, you like it a lot more. That's a certification that you have that can go in your education section. By the end of, how many freshmen? Okay, so we're towards the end of your first year. Everybody else then, this shouldn't apply. You can take high school diploma off the resume by the end of your first year. Okay? Because we don't need it. You're in a bachelor seeking program that automatically assumes you have your diploma. We'll talk about high school experience that's a little different on the other parts of the resume. Other things you could include, yes?
So with the certification, if you got it in high school, you can list it in the college section?
Yeah, because it's a technology skill. So it could go in an education section, or you could put it in a skills section, certified in. But the diploma itself, a high school diploma, isn't necessary after your first year at college. Because it's assumed you have your diploma or equivalent. But not, as we saw with our hands raised, not everybody has a certification, right? But you all have a diploma or an equivalent. Yep.
So if you were to get a certification through like an online program, let's say Linda or Skillshare, would that still apply for this?
Absolutely, yeah. So if you've already received certifications through the Linda campus, or you plan to get Linda trainings or certifications done, or if you're certified for CPR, Red Cross, or real estate, or whatever it is, if you're certified in something and that certification, especially if it's relevant to what you're applying to, or teaches you a skill that's needed for the type of jobs you're interested in, it's going on your resume. You can put it in education, or it could be in a separate certification section, or in a skills section.
What about, you mentioned like a Red Cross certification. If that's not relevant to our job, should we include that, or just?
Yeah, just up to you. So if you maybe need to fill up your resume, then you can put some of those things in there to help fill it out, right? So it's not an empty resume. But if it's not relevant, or if you need the space for something that is more relevant, then yeah, you can take that off. The certified in CPR and first aid, that's something that if you have it, it can apply to many industries. You know, even customer service. What if a customer drops in front of you, right? So even though it's not a lifeguard or working in healthcare, it could still be transferable. So if anything that you have, you can include on your resume, and things that aren't really relevant, those are things you can consider taking off as you get more relevant experience through your time here at ECF. Yes. Oh, good questions, everybody.
If you've taken like Spanish or something else, like in UCF, would you be able to put it there? Like even if you're not fluent, you know, but like you did take. And
Yeah. So that could be relevant coursework.
Okay.
Or in a skills section, you could say familiar with, and then the language that you're familiar with. So maybe you can read it, or maybe you can understand it. You can define your proficiency level on your resume.
Okay.
But if you've taken a particular class, then yeah, a relevant coursework section can help you to decide what classes you've taken that relate to what you're applying to, or has taught you a skill. Even if it's not part of your major, the course could still be relevant. So maybe you took like a public speaking class. You know, that could be applicable towards a lot of different things, even if it's not part of your major.
Thank you.
All right, and then we're listing most recent to oldest. So UCF is going to go first. If you received an associate's degree from a transfer school, or while you were in high school, that would go next if you have it, and then backwards from there. Okay, most recent to oldest. So these are some examples on how to format that. So this is where we're going to see a lot of the bolding, right, and the italicization coming into play. We want to decide on a consistent style here. So whatever is bolded should be consistent throughout your resume. School name is similar to employer name. So if you bold the school, you're going to bold the employer. Degree is similar to job title. That's the where and the what, right? So if you bold or italicize degree, you're going to do the same thing for job title. All right, so we want to create this consistent look because you have 6 seconds to capture that employer's attention. And if you make things orderly and organized where they can scan down bolded things and see that right away, italics, you can see that right away. It makes it easy to find. We want to have your recruiters spend more time reading, less time hunting for information. Different section headers could be formatted differently if you need more to fill up your resume. These first two styles may be helpful because it helps to create kind of this block look. So sections on the right, content in the middle, dates on the left. If you need to fill out more up and down rather than left and right, if you have a lot of information, this one kind of condenses it down and spreads it out left and right, so you can use that space. This 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper is valuable real estate. All right, so think strategically about how you're gonna fill that up with the relevant experiences. Okay? Date format. I prefer a numbers format like this guy here, 2-digit month, 4-digit year. It's up to you. You could spell out the month. You could abbreviate the month. Whatever style you pick, be consistent. All right? So if you spell out your months in one example, you're gonna spell out all of your months. If you use a numbers format, use numbers format in everything. All right? All it takes is one tiny little mistake or typo to show an employer that you obviously don't have the attention to details that you say that you have. And they will move it to the circular file. All right? There's cold hard realities to resumes, and they have a job to eliminate. And they're gonna use little things like that to eliminate, make their choices easier, okay? Questions on this? Examples, yes?
If you took relevant coursework at another university but didn't actually complete a degree there, so like you didn't finish an associate's or anything there, should you still include it in the education section or no?
You could. So if you transferred here with an associate's, and chances are your courses is going to be all on one transcript anyway, right?
I mean, that was what I was saying, as though I didn't finish with an associate's there.
Okay, yeah, so even if you didn't finish, those courses transferred, right?
Just making, yeah.
So it's all on your current transcript. So you could include, like underneath here, maybe, so like here where it says addiction certificate, so you could say relevant coursework, and then just kind of comma list the names of the classes, and it's not really tied to a specific school that way. Or you could have a whole separate section. You could call it relevant coursework and then list out your courses. One of the examples has, on the back side of the resume, it's a double-sided, by the way. So the Jessica Knight, you'll see an example of relevant coursework. So that's a very easy way to include classes that is not tied to a specific school. Now, what you don't want to include is the school and the dates that you went. If you didn't earn a degree, we don't want to include that on a resume, because anything included here is assumed that you completed and you earned that credential. And if you don't put the degree that you got, but you just put classes that you took at the school, it could raise more questions. The employer's like, well, what happened? Why did you drop out? Why? And you may not be prepared to answer those types of questions depending on the situation.
Is that the same in the case of like dual enrollment during high school?
That's a little different.
Okay, that was what I was referring to, but I didn't.
Okay, yeah, so those classes during high school can be in the relevant coursework section, or if in a summary section, which we'll talk about later, you could have completed coursework through dual enrollment in high school in XYZ, so that you don't have to list the high school, but maybe you want to highlight that accomplishment of taking college level classes while in high school. All right, so that could be in a summary section, which we'll talk about. Great questions, guys. You're gonna put me over time. Any other questions about education? Very good. All right. So summary section. So this is optional. I like it. I think it's a really nice way for you to include anything that's relevant from all of your different experiences in one section to show an employer that these are your relevant transferable skills to what you're applying to. So it could be just a small technical skills summary. It could be language skills or soft skills like organization, teamwork, leadership, or specific accomplishments. But it is a bulleted list. So it's just a list of bullets that describe your skills, knowledge areas, abilities, short keywords, phrases, terminologies that is relevant to your industry. So we have to do the research, and your job description is your best friend. Any jobs that you apply to, print it out, take a highlighter, highlight all the things that the employer is asking for that you can do, and compare that to your resume. And those highlighted things can be a great place to form this summary section to show that you're a match to the position. Functional skill set These are some examples. So for example, maybe you've had multiple customer service jobs over the last 3 years or so. Summarize that. Over 5 years of experience providing outstanding customer service in various settings. Okay? So maybe they're in different employers, but if you worked consecutively in the same type of role, you can highlight that in one bullet towards the top of your resume. Customer service is an excellent transferable skill to any industry. Keywords. So for example, the difference between client versus customer versus guest versus patron, right? Different industries use different terms. Who uses guest?
Hospitality.
Hospitality, Disney, right? Customer,
Stores.
Retail.
stores, retail. Client,
Freelance.
freelance, technology,
Law firms.
Privately owned business.
law firms,
Privately owned business.
privately owned businesses, yeah. So consulting work, accounting, you might have clients that you do tax preparation for. So each industry might use their own language, right? So we gotta do the research and key into that language and then incorporate it into our resume to show that you can speak their language, that you know the lingo, right? Patient or guest could be hospitals as well as hospitality, right? Again, we're starting off with those strong action verbs, so no I statements. How many of you took a lab class? Biolab, chem lab, right? Trained and experienced in safe, accurate, and reliable laboratory techniques. So if you're maybe applying to undergraduate research or to a lab assistant position, you can use course descriptions here to help explain certain skill sets. So those relevant classes that you've taken, read the course description for it. Add a verb to it, knowledgeable in, familiar with, understanding of. And you've got a bullet that's already written for you. It just needs to be put on your resume. Or your syllabi, those learning outcomes that we may or may not read. You guys are honor students, you read every bullet, right? Yeah. Those are written already for you in a bullet form usually. So you can use some of that language that's related then to your industry if it's a major related class, okay? So you can summarize work experience, key accomplishments, certain skill sets in a nice little summary section to help show an employer, here's the things that I have that relate to what I'm applying to, okay? All right, experience section. So the one thing that you don't want to do is just have one experience section that lists everything that you have done. Try and break it up into categories. So what types of experiences do you have? You may have volunteer experience or internship experience or project experience. And that way you have control by moving sections around over what's most relevant to what you're applying to. If you have one experience section and everything is listed in there, then you're stuck with that reverse chronological order where it's most recent to oldest, because that's the proper format for formatting experience. But by sections, now you can control what sections go first. So maybe an internship that you did over the summer a few years ago may be more relevant to what you're applying to than your current job on campus at the bookstore or something. And now you can move things around. Oh, hold on a second.
Would you always put like education before any experience, like any jobs or any other kind of experience?
Depends. That's my favorite answer for resume workshops. Chances are, like I said, you're going to be selling yourself as a current student in your major. So that's why we recommend education usually is going to go first.
Okay.
But maybe you've had several customer service jobs and you're applying to another customer service job, then you may move education down so that you can highlight your relevant experience.
Okay.
So you have to ask yourself, what's going to sell me better to this thing that I'm applying to, my education or my experience? And then you can move things around.
If we prioritize keeping everything chronological throughout the rest of the resume, is it okay to mix up the time frame for the experience section?
So reverse chronological, so it's most recent to oldest. So whatever that section is, then it is in that reverse format. So what most recent thing and backwards from there. But that's what the beauty of you doing sections is that you can move a section about internship, for example, that you did a couple summers ago. If it's in its own thing, then you can have it above what you're doing now. if it's more relevant to what you're applying to.
Right, but within the section, is it okay to not have it chronological?
Within the section, it has to be reverse chronological, because that's how employers read.
All right.
So they see what you're doing now, and they see backwards in time from there within that section.
Okay, and then
So if something is out of order, it feels a little wonky to them. It's like, why is this out of order?
Okay. And then the second thing I had is there an optimal way of reducing like white space in a resume?
That's,
For, like,
it
experience?
depends on every resume. So it depends on whether you have your section headers to the left here, or your content right underneath your section headers. There's different ways. That's probably gonna be more of a one-on-one, let's see your resume
Alright.
and see what kind of white space we're dealing with. Because there's lots of ways to reduce white space, just what's the right way for you.
Alright.
Might be different than the right way for somebody else. All right, whoops, did I go back too far? So these are different, yep.
If you worked in a company but you've had multiple roles with different skills, how do you go about like communicating all of those skills, but also like under only like one company you've worked for?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
So that could be something where you would list the company and then you have your current title. And depending on the depth of each experience, you could then do the next title that you had before that and bullets there, and then another title from before that. Or start with your current title, and then one of your bullets could be promoted to current role from previously from X role, whatever title it was before.
Okay.
And then all of your bullets can be a summary of your whole entire experience there.
Fine.
If you have dual roles currently, then you could just do your title / and then your other title.
Thank you.
All right, so lots of different types of experiences. Think outside the box, but also think about things that you want to do while you're here at UCF, because this resume workshop, it doesn't have to be what you have now. It could be how do you want your resume to look, right? Formatting, right? Same type of style that your education is in. Copy and keep that consistent. The bolding, the italicization, the spacing, whatever style you choose, keep it consistent throughout. Dates, again, keep the consistent with numbers versus months spelled out. Strong action verbs. So I gave you a cheat sheet there, the action verbs list. Try and use a different verb for each bullet. What employers get bored by is seeing managed, managed, right? It starts to lose meaning. How you manage time may be different than how you manage people, right? So we want to try and find a different verb for the thing that you are explaining. And also try to quantify whenever you can. So dollar amounts, percentages, time frames, things like that tend to stick out for employers. And it also helps you to give that experience or accomplishment more impact, right? To show the actual accomplishment there by quantifying that experience. Okay, so going forward, keep notes, keep record of things that you're doing in class, in your jobs, with your clubs, with data, with information, so that you can update your resume appropriately. And then watch your verb tense agreement. This is one mistake I see in every resume. Easy for you to fix. Whatever you've done, you're no longer in past tense verbs. Whatever you're currently doing, present tense verbs. Okay? That's something easy that you can forget to do, but you can fix right away before you submit a resume. Questions? Okay. Other things you can include: memberships, awards and honors, president's list, dean's list, scholarships, things like that. Volunteerism, absolutely include that on a resume. Most employers will reconsider candidates positively because of volunteerism, and a lot of them think of volunteerism as equal to work experience. Okay? So again, different ways to format that with your section header or with bullets. Yeah.
Again, with those last additional things we could put in, if they're not relevant to the position we're applying for, is that something we still want to try to include, or does it just kind of get pushed aside as a distract?
It depends. So it's going to depend on person to person. So for example, when I first applied to UCF 5 years ago, I was currently volunteering for what's now the Pet Alliance. It used to be the SPCA, okay? And I was a bark buddy. which means I walked the dogs, I played with them, I picked up their stuff, right? I put that on my resume, bark buddy at SPCA. The director, my current boss, before he was my boss, he was passionate about rescue animals. He had a history of rescuing cats, right? He loved rescue pets. So even though me being a bark buddy has nothing to do with me being able to write resumes or interviews or career counsel, just the fact that I took time outside of my obligations and volunteered to something that I was passionate about, spoke to him, and it served as conversation during the interview, and it gave me something to connect with him on. Right, so now I was relatable, and he was relatable to me. And it put me in a different light. So I don't have an answer for everybody. It's going to depend. What are you trying to communicate? How might that help or serve you on whatever it is that you're applying to sell you, to make you more marketable or relatable or personable to the potential readers. Okay? Yeah.
For honors and awards, should we always put like awarded or inducted, or should we just put like the year?
It's up to you. It depends on the award probably.
Okay.
If it's something that is continual, like you have to maintain a certain GPA, do these requirements, workshop, things like that, to keep that honor, then you may want to put a date to present or some sort of time frame there to show that it's not just a one-time thing. So it really just depends. Yeah.
How would we put like graduating from the honors college on our resume? Like, would it be under honors, or would we put honors diploma?
Yeah, you can put it under honors, Burnett Honors College student, whatever program you're in, honors in the major, thesis that you're working on.
It might also fit well in your education section.
Yep.
As you're listing your major, you can put Burnett Honors Scholar.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a few different places, so there's, like I said, it's gonna be different for everybody and what looks best to you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. So you guys have lots of questions about resume. I love it. But we need to roll the rest of it along. So all of this is going to look different to everybody. That's why we have drop-in hours Monday through Friday, 10 to 3:30, where you can pop in, no appointment needed to see Isaiah or Asia or any of our other CPAs to look at your resume one-on-one, or you can schedule an appointment with our office.
So sorry, can you repeat those?
10 to 3:30, Monday through Friday, except during spring break, I think, and times that the school is closed. Sorry about that, but we gotta go home too. Yeah. 10 to 3:30 is our drop-in hours, so no appointment needed. Come in for a resume, cover letter, or online profile critique. You got it? Okay. All right, good. All right, so the last thing about your resumes is that references do not go on your resume, and we do not need to say references available upon request. All right, you're just gonna provide a separate document for that. All right, so you're gonna list out your references on a separate sheet. So essentially, when you apply to positions, you're gonna have 3 files: a resume, a reference sheet, and a cover letter. Yep.
If your like employer doesn't have a spot for your reference sheet, should you just like not include it?
So look for the other documents on a like online application system. If they don't have anywhere, if they only allow you to upload 1 file and the job application doesn't ask for references, then yes, go ahead and make this a page 2 for your resume so that you send it along.
Okay.
Or option B, you could just wait for them to request it, but I would say eventually they're going to request your references. You might as well just supply it in advance. But if it's not on the job application, then you're going to attach that file to your application package.
Okay.
So whatever format you use for, I keep trying to use my laser, but it's not working on the TV. Use your header at the top. This creates kind of like a letterhead look. Title it references and then list your people. At least 3 professional references. Could be faculty, professors, supervisors, current employers, whoever you think can provide a good testimony about your work ethic and abilities. Ask permission though in advance. Don't just list somebody on your reference page. Okay, and provide them a current copy of your resume and something that you're applying to so that they have a reference point to what kind of things to talk about in their experience with you that's relevant to what you're applying to. Okay? So if you don't have references, start working on that. Build those relationships now with your faculty, all right? Because that can help you out for grad school, letters of recommendation, right? Referrals, connections, networking, all that fun stuff. All right, so cover letter. We're gonna roll through this a little bit more quickly. I've provided you another cheat sheet, pretty much a template of what your cover letter should look like and what to include in those paragraphs, okay? The purpose behind a cover letter, to introduce yourself to the employer in a more narrative style. So you're talking more in a storytelling way. So first person, complete sentences, opposite the resume. Another sample of your communication skills. It's a way for you to focus in on key skills or experiences that relate to what you're applying to demonstrate your research about the organization. So you're showing why you're a match to the position, why you desire that position, whatever it is you're applying to. We're not going to summarize or copy paste from our resume here. It's going to be a more descriptive, focus in on one or two key things rather than a summary of all the things that make you a match, okay? We recommend to write a tailored cover letter every time you apply to something. Even if an employer doesn't request one, it can help you to stand out. I've never heard an employer say, oh, they wrote a cover letter? I'm not gonna hire them. How silly, right? They may ignore it. They may not read it, but it's never gonna hurt you to send a cover letter, okay? Address it to a specific person. Your first paragraph, and you have your handout that says kind of the same thing. Why are you writing? And who are you? Why are you interested in the position? Your second paragraph is going to be kind of a summary of what one or two key experiences you had that make you a match for the position. And your last paragraph is pretty much your closer, restating your contact information, showing interest in the position, demonstrating enthusiasm for the next step, okay? We're gonna use appropriate language, correct grammar, positive, professional tone throughout the entire letter, and 1 page max. All right, no ifs, ands, or it depends on that one. We're not writing your memoirs or a novel here. Same kind of thing with your format. Whatever you do for your resume, same format, font style, type for your cover letter. Again, you're creating kind of a matching married pair here. They want to look good together, okay? Those annoying couples that you see at parties, right, that match in plaid. Your resume and the cover letter are going to do the same thing. So that you've got your structure, you're going to have your contact information on the top. I recommend to copy that to your resume. So however you put your header on your resume, just copy that over to a new file, and then start with the date and then the recipient information, okay? A specific person, do your homework, do your research, try and find a person to address your letter to. Okay, check the job description, call HR, look at the directory on the company's website. Do not write to whom it may concern. I'm not gonna do that. If you don't know,
10 minutes left.
okay. If you don't know who you're writing it to, then at least put dear hiring manager or dear search committee for the position of, and then name the job title. So at least you're showing an attempt to talk to a specific person, the decision maker, for whatever it is that you're applying to, okay? Whereas to whom it may concern is whoever happens to pick up this letter. I don't care who it is, just whoever, right? And then dear so-and-so, right? So dear hiring manager, and then your minimum 3, maximum 4 paragraphs. And then sincerely or respectfully, 4 spaces, your name, and then your 4 spaces, you could insert a signature if you like, or if you're printing it out, make sure you sign it to hand it over. It's not required, but it's optional, and it can help give it a more personalized touch. Don't be demanding or too cocky. You demand an interview or things like that. There's a fine line between confidence and entitlement. Thank you. Omit negative information. So if you left a job for a bad reason, we're not going to talk about that here. You're going to talk about your strengths, what makes you a match for the position. Make sure you get it critiqued, right? When you drop in hours, or have your peers or supervisors critique them. The writing center, you can have them take a look at it as well. Don't start every sentence with I. Okay? We have a tendency to do that with our cover letters. Try and reword every other sentence or so. So we start off with maybe a transition or some other, or maybe adverb or something besides I. Can be kind of irritating. Be thoughtful. Don't go rush through it too fast. Don't use canned or past letters that you're copying and pasting. The chance for errors increases where you forget to fix the employer name, the company name, the job title, the date. All right, so try and start fresh every time, okay? PDF, very quickly, why do we need PDF? Not Word or Pages?
Can't edit.
Can't edit it. Yep.
PDF also like maintains format.
Maintain your format, yeah. It keeps it just as you created it. It's also universal, so if you have Apple and I have Microsoft, I can open up PDF, right? Very easily, vice versa. Easy peasy. PDF, use Word or Pages for your working document. If you're gonna post your resume online, then you don't need to have your physical address or your phone number, so just the city and state and your email address. Okay? Just to help minimize contacts that you don't want or need. And keep yourself organized when you're saving these files with the name of the job you're applying to, the year, your name, the type of document it is, so you're staying organized. And then for your cover letter, their letter itself, if you're not responding to it, if you're not applying to a job, but you're sending an email to somebody about a job, your cover letter could be your email then, or you could write a brief note and attach your cover letter, or both. Make your email the cover letter and attach the more formal cover letter so that they have something nicer to print out rather than memo style email. Okay? And I like to, when I'm writing emails that are professional, fill out the to field last so that if you accidentally hit send before it's ready, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay? So write out your subject, your email, make sure your attachments are there, and then once you're ready, ensure add your to, and then BCC yourself so that you have a record of what you sent to whom with what attachments and timestamp and everything. All right? Questions? I'll leave this up so you guys can kind of glance through it.
If you're applying for multiple different companies, is it okay to put like the name of the company on the cover letter you send, so then like you know you can edit it for each one?
Yeah. So if you're applying to the same type of job with a company, some of that stuff is going to be the same. The recipient information, the name of the person, the job title might change, of course, and then the job title in the content of your letter is going to change. But yeah, you can kind of use some of the pre-written stuff, but really focusing on what you can make that letter tailor, how you can tailor it to whatever it is you're applying to. What we don't want is to have this exact 3-paragraph letter where you just take out job title 1 and put job title 2, company name A with company name B.
Yeah.
Because now you're not taking the time to show why you're a match to that job, to that employer. Yeah.
If we're including the cover letter, should we also include an objective statement in our resume, or would it be kind of redundant at that point?
It's up to you. So it depends, again, on your resume. You have a lot of content on your resume where you may not need that space, and you could use that objective space for something else. Then yeah, that's something that you can take out. A cover letter can replace an objective, particularly if your resume is filled with a resume relevant experience. Excuse me. But another thing to keep in mind is resumes are usually seen first.
Okay.
So if you do have a really nicely written objective statement and it gives you the rest of your resume direction, you may want to keep it on there even though the cover letter may be redundant because they may not read the cover letter right away or at all.
Understood.
So the resume is the primary spot.
Got it. Thank you.
Other questions? You're all out of questions? You guys have been grilling me this entire time. All right.
Well, if y'all could help me thank Emily, please.
If you can help, drop in or use Handshake to schedule an appointment. Let us help you with your job search and your major aspiration, okay?
Thank you. Just a few more logistics.